Welcome to Awaken the Mind,
Relax.
the NLP and Hypnosis Guide, hosted by David Uhas.
You need to understand. If you can't, you must. And if
You're listening to Awaken the Mind, the NLP and Hypnosis Guide, a podcast that inspires the curious to the professional to discover meaningful content and pursue their passions. My name is David Uhas, and I'm a master NLP practitioner and hypnotist, best known for losing over 100 pounds and running 6 marathons in 2 years. And I'm sitting down with hypnotists, NLP practitioners, and coaches to talk about their process, the lessons they've learned, and how to make an impact in the lives of others.
Today's guest is Sky from Sky Spiritual Playground on Facebook. She is a master practitioner in NLP coaching, hypnosis, and timeline therapy. And I want to share a paragraph with you from her page that I was really inspired by. To me, love is a verb. There must be some action behind it. To love is to accept, to respect, to show appreciation and gratitude, and to provide support when it's needed, and be able to be given. Love is an opening, a blissful sharing of experience. It is also the breathing in and revealing of one's essence, the smell, the feel, the sound, the view, the energy. And welcome, Sky. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, David, and thank you so much for reading that. That was really, really appreciated and beautiful. Thank you so much.
Where are you right now?
Right now, I'm in Fullerton, California, not where I anticipated being, and just in the flow of the moment, here I am.
Well, I love your beautiful red dress and your hat as well. I have to wear hats because of the sun. Yeah.
Right. And it's the summer. Well, it feels like summer here anyway, so definitely time to be protecting.
So share with me about how you got to NLP and hypnosis and timeline therapy.
You know, it's really such a blessed story. I was celebrating a birthday, and I happened to have 2 sprained ankles. So I couldn't do any of the things I normally would like to do. Normally, I like to be in nature on my birthday, and I just obviously couldn't be hiking around and doing all the stuff that I could. And so I believe in the powers of manifestation and creating the reality that you desire. And so I thought about it, and I was like, well, what do I want for my birthday if I can't go into nature? And what I decided was that I wanted a paradigm shift. Nothing simpler than that, right? So I told the universe that I wanted a paradigm shift, and I didn't know how it was going to come, and that I was just going to release the effort and allow the universe to deliver. And sure enough, it did. It brought me to a hypnosis training, which I'd been interested in doing hypnosis for a while. And I figured, oh, look, I could go to a workshop. I can learn something for my birthday. And I fell in love with the training, fell in love with the trainers, and realized that they had NLP and signed up for that. And honestly, it was the parts integration and the timeline therapy that was the paradigm shift that I was looking for. I mean, my entire life I'd been searching for a deep healing. I'd always known that I was a healer, but there wasn't like any modality that was able to give me the complete health that I was searching for, the complete answer. And so I was never able to completely commit myself to any modality, you know, and I would put all the modalities together and integrate as much as I can. And yet, you know, it never was really fulfilling. And when I found timeline therapy, that all shifted. I mean, everything that I felt that had been keeping me down was suddenly released, and it was released so quickly. And I mean, really, when you release all the stuff that keeps you down, you realize that your soul is suddenly lighter and brighter, and you feel like you can do anything and everything. And I started to notice that there was this sense of like becoming a superhero, right? Like wanting to take on the world. And every time I would have a session, I started saying to people like, wow, it feels like a spiritual playground. It feels like we just get to play, you know, with all the work I'd done before, all the spiritual and healing work that I'd done, especially having to do with emotions, you have to dig into the darkness, into the nitty gritty where it's not fun to be. You have to face every ugliness that you are. Whereas with timeline therapy, you don't have to delve in like that. You can just kind of pluck out and replace the darkness with light. So it really, really seemed like a playground. And that's really how Sky's Spiritual Playground came to be, you know, just realizing that healing can be fun and easy.
I love the way you said that. It's light and it's easy. Some of the stuff that people are holding on to is very heavy and very deep. It's nice to be able to just let it all go very quickly. That's something that just blew my mind, how quickly it works.
It is mind-blowing, and it's actually really difficult to even talk about it because people can't really fathom that it can happen that fast. I've actually had people get angry at me for just even suggesting that it's possible.
Right.
So I know that it's for people that are ready, you know, and for those of us that believe that things can happen this quickly, even if you don't believe. I've had so many skeptics. Just at least give it a try. Just at least be open-minded enough to try it. And that's when the magic, at least for me, really occurs. It's amazing to watch somebody that's such a skeptic become your biggest fan, because those are the people that are going to talk about you. The ones that already believe, it's easier, you know what I mean? With the people that are skeptics, they're the ones that like it's transforming everybody's life.
Right.
It's just amazing to watch the people where they weren't already on that healing spiritual path, you know, realize there's so much more to what we know, to what the consciousness knows.
Right. That I can relate to that look on their face where is that emotion now? And they're like, well, I have the memory, but that emotion is gone, was holding me. And it's a good
right.
feeling.
And they have that perplexed look like, oh my God, it's gone. Like, how could that be?
You are a superhero.
Well, that's the thing. We all are, right? Like, that's who we are naturally. That's the greatest part of it. Like, I love all the, the lessons that people pull out. I really kind of look at them as cosmic truths. You know what I mean? Like, you're pulling out such deep stuff that is true for everybody, you know, cosmic truths.
And something else that's kind of an interesting thing, that when you're working with others, a lot of times there's something that you can relate with them to where there's almost some of your own healing as a practitioner. Have you experienced that?
Definitely. And kind of have a tendency to attract the kind of clients and kind of things that you've gone through, right? Because you can resonate with them. You know what their pain is, and you know how to reach them. Whereas a lot of other people wouldn't really be able to reach them on that same level.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
I have something that I am really curious about you, and I haven't shared this with you, about Burning Man. That's on my bucket list. Tell me about Burning Man.
You know, Burning Man is kind of like the Tao. To speak of it is to lessen it.
Oh, okay. I don't want to lessen
it's really no, but it really is something. It's unique every year. It's dependent upon the people that are going, and it is what you make of it. It's a very, very magical place, and it's some place where manifestation happens even quicker. And it's a great place to really shed what you think you are and the expectations that society has put on you, to get to a core level of who you are to yourself. It's like peeling back the onions, peeling back the layers to be able to find your ultimate self. And I would not be the person that I am without Burning Man. I mean, there's so much more creativity that I've experienced through my life, being exposed to the kinds of experiences and there's just so many expressions of creativity, of self, of music, of art, of food as an experience. I personally have spent several years being part of sacred spaces and creating temples, and just being involved with amazing people, art curators, healers from all over the world. I mean, it's a very unique experience that you can't get anywhere else, and I would definitely recommend you come.
I believe you have to really plan a little bit in advance, right? Because they sell out pretty quickly.
Well, tickets, tickets can be found the week before, but I mean, you just have to kind of go through Craigslist and things like that,
Yeah.
It really, what needs preparation is the fact that it's an extreme environment and you need to be able to survive. You need to be able to know what to bring, things like electrolytes and things that people may not be too aware of, ways to cool off and just to create comfort out there. The environment is so harsh, and the alkaline ground just gets into everything. So, a lot of people take vinegar baths to neutralize the alkalinity, definitely for your feet. So there's a lot of little details that you wouldn't normally have to think about when you could just go camping.
Right.
It's definitely extreme. It's extreme survival and extreme creativity, extreme self-expression.
Cool. I saw a special on Netflix, and I was really inspired by the creativity, the artists, and then also the society there. They're so giving and caring.
Yeah, I mean, being able to be involved with something and create a city that disappears in a couple weeks, there really is no words to express what that does for you, and to know that it's done without money. It's done for just a mere service of bringing something beautiful to experience, to share, to push yourself, and then to destroy and release it at the end. It's definitely a sense of renewal. It's definitely a bit more of life purpose, and learning how to release. A lot of us, in today's society, we don't know how to release. We don't even think about the word releasing or surrender, or, these concepts are kind of alien to our regular society, and Burning Man is based around that.
Interesting. So I was on your Facebook page, and I read a comment that you would put on there, and it asked everybody on your page, what is the most inspiring compliment you have ever been given? So I would like to ask that question of you.
The most inspiring, well, I actually posted that because I got a very lovely comment this past weekend about somebody was watching me just relax, and I was feeling a sense of gratitude for being in the moment. I was at a yoga festival, and she just said, just watching me was making her blissful, and that was really beautiful. But I think the most inspiring comment that I've actually received has been recently hearing from people as I'm developing my business, and people that I've known for a decade or so approaching me and letting me know that I've already been a spiritual guide to them, that they've looked at me for that kind of guidance and awareness, and just as an example, I guess, of love, of spiritual love, of divine love. That's something that I've always tried to embrace, is divine love and acceptance of all, like one of the things that I like to say is divine love and infinite blessings, and I really just try to live and breathe that. And it's really lovely to know that people can feel that and resonate with that for me. So I must be doing something right. The divine is leading me in some way that's right. So I'm grateful for having that.
That is my experience of you as well. When we had training together, I remember you called me brother, and that at first caught me off guard, but at the same time, it felt like you were very caring. You were always very welcoming to everybody, just open. So that's something that's really beautiful about you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Tell me about what is your life's purpose?
My life purpose, I really think it's helping people or guiding people to their own self-healing, because we can't do anything for anybody else. They have to do the work themselves. We can only guide them. So my desire is to guide them to the deepest healing possible and to awaken the divine spark within each and every one of us who hasn't awakened yet. And maybe even ignite the ones that are aflame already, and we just spark up each other's light even more. So spread the light. What about you? Do you know your divine purpose?
Caring for other people, and also being like a catalyst to transform people who are challenged. That's what my coaching is about. It's a big question.
It is a big question, and I think it's also a question that evolves over time, as we proceed and we see how much we have to gift and give. I think it becomes bigger and stronger, or so I hope.
Like a muscle, you work it out and it gets bigger over time. Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
I love that.
Tell me about what you do with your business. I saw recently on Facebook, you had some pictures. You were at a festival, I think, of some kind. You had an area set up for healing. That was very interesting. Yeah.
So at the beginning of the year, I actually, so I connect with divinity, whatever you want to call it. I channel, whatever. Like I listen to that intuitive voice, right? And at the beginning of the year, the intuitive voice basically told me to create a special offering for festivals. And I've been going to festivals for over 20 years of my life, so festivals are definitely a huge part of who I am, hence Burning Man and all that. And so it just seemed like a natural progression for me to tie both things together. And I actually created something specifically for the festivals for past life healings, because I figured that would be fun for people and they would be interested in past life healings. I didn't really think that they would want to be working on deep traumas or, negative emotions. And I figured that they would probably just want something that's a little bit more fun and kind of woo-woo, And to my surprise, I actually did have people approaching me about deeper healings. I actually cleared somebody from their PTSD there at the festival, and did a couple other deep healings as well as some past life healings. And I was just really, really impressed at how many people seemed interested. And I had people coming up to me for all kinds of things, and it just seemed like there's a need and people are looking for spiritual guidance. So now I'm kind of rethinking what the offer is, and want to scope it a little bit bigger so that people understand that there can be a bigger offering. And it's really exciting for me because having the name Sky Spiritual Playground, people walk by and they're just interested in like, hey, what's that? And it gets me talking on spiritual subjects that I absolutely love. So in a way, I'm kind of curating my festival experience, and I get to play with people and allow them to release the stuff that's keeping them down. And then with the people that I'm not working with, I get to just have really deep spiritual conversations. It's a win-win. It's been really beautiful. And I'm just beginning with that process. I had a great response to my first festival. And now I've even started to do talks at festivals. So I'm going to be talking at my first festival in June. And it's actually a pretty big electronic conscious music festival in Colorado. And I'm going to be talking about the divine masculine and divine feminine. And I'm really, really excited about that. So that's going to be my first big talk, really just kind of going by the seat of my pants, and that was something else that I felt divine intuition kind of come in and direct me. And sometimes when you don't listen in time to the direction, they get a little frustrated with you, which is kind of what happens. So I definitely, felt the call to talk about it. And it's really amazing how it's kind of springing up everywhere. A lot of people are talking about the imbalance of the divine masculine and divine feminine. It's time. I think as a society, we're ready to transcend this and transmute it.
Could you share with me about the divine feminine and divine masculine, what that is?
Sure. Basically, everybody knows, or we can see the evidence is everywhere that the divine masculine has kind of overtaken the energy of our society. Everything is run through the masculine, right? So we can see this because all our lives are about action, action, action. We don't even stop to eat, right? Many of us are eating as we drive, or as we're doing this, as we're doing that. And that's the masculine energy, the go, 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 go. That's the yang energy, right? So there's yin and yang. And the yin energy, the female energy, is more of the receptive energy, the nurturing energy, right? So, to be kind of crude, when you think about a father, he's out there making the money and doing the action, and the mother is nurturing the kids, right? That's kind of the way we look at masculine energy and feminine energy. The thing is that we all have feminine and masculine energy within us.
Right.
It's not like I am female and so therefore I am only feminine energy. That's not the case for any one of us. We all have different levels, varying levels of masculine and feminine. And what's happening, since as a society we're experiencing an imbalance, what's happening is that the masculine is overactive in every single one of us. So, the key to any change, to any evolution, is to start with ourselves, right? So the first part is just bringing awareness to the fact that this exists for everybody, and so then once we realize that the imbalance exists and the female has been practically ignored or even subjugated and kept down, while the masculine rises and has complete control. And I mean, you can see this even on how we treat Gaia. We grow and we spread without any real reverence for the land that we're destroying or for the implications of what we're doing, right? So what needs to happen for us to be able to evolve is we need to be able to bring these two energies into balance. And one of the things that I talk about is, the feminine has been so kept down that the feminine is actually rising up in a slightly mistaken way. They're using their anger to rise up, and what's happening is that they think to be able to gain energy or gain the balance back, they have to rise through anger and demand their equal stature, right? But you can't rise the feminine by masculine energy, right? You're still living the imbalance if you're rising through anger, if you're rising through war, if you're rising through demanding rather than nurturing and allowing, right?
Right.
So I really see that this transition needs to happen, needs to begin with the feminine, and it needs to begin with the feminine turning the feminine energy to ourselves and nurturing ourselves and healing ourselves so that we can rise up through love. Because the thing is, when you're strong in love, you don't have to fight. You just stand your ground. And everything else falls away because nothing is stronger than divine love, right? So when you emanate with that divine love, what I see is that the wounded feminine is what exists, and the toxic masculine is what the wounded feminine is dealing with. So once the wounded feminine heals herself, she can then become the empowered feminine and when the toxic masculine is confronted with the empowered feminine, he immediately recognizes that power and steps back. It's nature, because he realizes that he needs her to be able to know how to act, right? So once he sees that the true wisdom comes from that feminine energy, he bows down and waits for direction in action, right? So at that point, the empowered feminine then becomes the divine feminine, and the toxic masculine steps into the divine masculine role, and they can work together. And when they're working together, I really see that as inspired action, right? And that's when the masculine knows how to step forward, to what extent, because he's being inspired by the wisdom of the divine feminine. And it needs one another. We can't have balance without them working and integrating with one another.
So what are some things that can be done, or how do we get there?
Well, the first part is really just acknowledging the misbalance, the unbalance, and recognizing our own energies for this, and choosing to allow ourselves balance, to not always have to run and get things done. A lot of times we feel our life a sense of urgency for things that aren't really urgent. So, the beginning would be just listening to your intuition. A lot of us ignore that little voice in our head that knows what we need to do. So that would be a first step for a lot of us, is to really start listening to that intuition, and the more you listen to that intuition, the more it's going to give you assurance. It's going to prove itself time over time that it knows, even without you logically understanding why it knows. That would be a huge first step. With NLP, I did create a guided visualization to bring these into balance. And it's a really simple meditation. And I did create a video. I haven't posted it on my YouTube channel just yet, but I will be probably within the next week.
Nice. We'll add it on this podcast for people to look at. I would love to see that.
Yeah. Really simple NLP technique. It's so powerful. I love it. I love NLP.
Me too. You talked about that a little bit earlier with parts integration, and that's a very powerful tool with NLP. There's so many cool tools with NLP. It's interesting with hypnosis, because I've continued on some education with hypnosis and met a lot of hypnotists that do not have training in NLP. There's some really cool stuff to get. I can't imagine doing the hypnosis without the NLP. There's overlap, but the NLP is just such a powerful tool to use along with hypnosis.
It really is. I mean, one of the things I love talking about values, and talking to values, like I have conversations about that all the time, and it's such a simple thing and so revolutionizes your life in moments. It's amazing to me. And you get to know people so much better just by asking them the simple question of, hey, what are your top 5 values? And it blows people away, because most people haven't even ever thought of that. So it's a great conversation starter.
You have experience with yoga. Can you share some about yoga, meditation? And
Sure. Where do I begin? I guess I was blessed to be raised with yoga. My grandma was a yogi, and one of my earliest childhood memories are of my brother trying to make me scream while my grandma's teaching Om.
Trying to get you in trouble?
And then, I was really, really blessed, because at one point, I don't remember if I was like 17, suddenly started to kind of bubble out of me. Like I said, I was raised with it. So I know that it was kind of being programmed in my psyche. And then at a certain time, it just kind of flowered. And I really felt this calling to just do yoga. And I went to a park, and I even did it with the breathing and everything. It was such a beautiful flowering. But yoga is amazing. So I really like to look at it as like kind of like yoga is a kiln, right? So if we were to consider our bodies a vessel to hold light, to hold divine light, but the vessel hasn't been heated in the kiln, right? So we can't quite hold the light that we need to know God. Not quite yet. And yoga does what it needs to be able to hold more of that divine light. And the more yoga that you do, the more that this divine light is able to flow through you. And one of the most important aspects of yoga, at least yoga as most people know, which is the asana, the postural type of yoga, really what you're doing there is you're moving your body in ways so that the energy will flow and open up the channels for energy to open and flow. And you basically take it as far as your breath will allow you to go. And then you allow for the yoga as you release into the posture, the breath opens up. And as the breath goes into your body, that's what's allowing for the energy to flow even more. So with yoga, it's really, really pivotal that you pay attention to your breath, that you only go as far as you can breathe. Usually when I do yoga, you can actually see my breath through my body, you know, and because it's that subtle of what we know as the edge, right? You're getting to that very edge where you can no longer breathe, and then you come back just enough so that you can breathe. And with every breath, you're opening up a little bit more, allowing a little bit more of that light to come in. And if you don't do that, if you go to where you can't breathe, as many of us do, I mean, if you look around a yoga class, most people are, you know, trying. And what's happening is you're actually creating a bigger energy blockage that way. So you're having the opposite effect of what you want to do with yoga. So it's all about the breath. Yoga is 8 limbs, and the breath is life control, right? So the first 2 limbs are really about how you compose yourself. The third one is asana, right? That's the postural yoga. And then comes breath control. And then you're really preparing for meditation. The deeper, higher yoga is really about allowing yourself to consciously expand and become one with God, right? Yoga means actually union with God. So as you allow your consciousness to expand, you actually start to get glimpses and experiences of Christ consciousness, God consciousness, whatever you want to call it, of melding into the oneness, and just beautiful, beautiful experiences, you know? So
Nice.
There's so many ways to experience divinity and to allow yourself to open up and to release what we have. And it's really about what calls you on your path. And I'm very grateful that I've had yoga. I fell in love with Kundalini yoga, and that's like what I consider my spiritual practice, or part of my spiritual practice, is waking up and doing Kundalini yoga. And that's really, really focused on all aspects of yoga at once. So we have a mantra that we say, we have a mental focus that we keep our mind on. Lots of times we even have a posture for our tongue. You know, so when you focus on all these things at once, it makes it an extremely, extremely powerful practice. It's also, Kundalini yoga is also known as the lightning path. And sometimes it feels like lightning's going right through you. It does.
I've done yoga in an exercise class before, but it wasn't a full yoga class. But I'm just very curious about it. I've heard so many good things about it, and like what you were talking about earlier with the divine feminine and divine masculine, and us not slowing down enough. I really like that aspect. A little bit I know of yoga, just the great value of slowing down, just being in the moment and not letting the mind just run.
So I mentioned Kundalini yoga. I also really love Yin Yoga, right? And Yin Yoga is really when you just go and you do one posture for several minutes, and you're literally just melting into this posture. And as you feel resistance, right? Because you can only open up so much, and then your muscles kind of contract and you feel that resistance. And then you send your breathing to that place and it opens up even more. And you really start to get a sense of surrender and releasing the mind and releasing everything. And you know, I love all the other yogas, but I always try to get in Yin Yoga a few times a week because I really, again, I feel that balance, right, that we need to bring into our lives. And Yin just forces you just to slow down and get in touch with what relaxation even means. Many of us don't even like, oh yeah, we're relaxed. You know, like,
I got a moment. I got a moment.
Yeah. It takes a while to be able to fully relax, you know, like when you go on vacation, it's usually day 2 or 3 where you finally start to really like, oh, my breathing's deeper, like, yeah, you know, so it takes a while. It takes practice to relax.
Yeah. What are some easy tips you could give somebody to relax who doesn't know anything about yoga, doesn't know anything about meditation? What are some easy things that they could do to be successful?
I would say even just when you wake up in the morning, you know, to give yourself a few moments where you really stretch and yawn and like really open up the mouth wide and stretch your entire body and notice your breathing in the morning. And even if you give yourself just a few minutes, one that I really love to give people who are beginning is the 1-minute meditation. So you breathe in for 20 seconds, you retain the breath for 20 seconds, and then exhale for 20 seconds. Now, I know a lot of you won't be able to start at that level, but that's the 1-minute breath. And if you begin with 10 seconds, that's fine. Work your way up to the 20 seconds. And then slowly, you know, so you do what you can, but everybody has a minute, you know, and so it's an easy way that you can just bring it in. A lot of people think, oh, you know, I don't have time for half an hour. You don't have to do half an hour. A lot of times, Nikola Tesla talked about frequency, right? If you want to know the universe, it's about frequency. So instead of doing 1/2 hour once a month, because that's when you found the time, it's better if you do 1 minute 3 times a day, you know, talk about the frequency. So the more you do something, even if it's not for a prolonged period of time, it's better and more potent if you do it more frequently.
Nice. I really like that minute meditation. I had not heard of that before. I will start incorporating that. Very cool.
And it's especially good when you're frustrated, if you're waiting in line or something like that. Instead of being frustrated that you have to wait, be grateful that you now have a minute to dedicate to your practice.
I like that. Yeah.
It's all about switching what makes us, what gives us a quality of life, right? We want to make sure we're always encouraging a better quality of life.
Nice. Nice. What else do you have going on? What's coming up in the future for you? What's next for you?
You know, right now I feel like I'm just catching up to all these messages that I've been given to express. So I'm really going to be focusing on creating a lot of videos. I just started my YouTube channel, and then I had to go off and do the festivals. So, you know, what's for me is definitely incorporating my own balance.
Sure, yeah.
And making sure to be also expressing the things that I absolutely love. You know, I really feel called to be doing a lot of video. I'm really excited to just be able to share all the myriad of things that life has brought me to. I mean, there's so many different forms of healing and just ways to just be and express all that is. So constantly coming across messages and lessons and even just different ways of viewing things. And I really enjoy having an avenue to be able to express this and share this with people, as I'm sure you're starting to see as well. It's fun.
That is correct. And you truly did inspire me. When I saw the video of you doing the timeline therapy, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. So I really want to thank you for putting a fire under me to start doing this, to share this.
Yeah, because it's all about finding the things that bring you joy and doing more of that, and a lot of it is just the fun in talking about it and being able to express it, and then finding the people that we're meant to collaborate with.
I know you have Sky Spiritual Playground on Facebook. You mentioned on YouTube. How can people find you?
Well, it's pretty much Sky Spiritual Playground across the board. I have the YouTube channel. I have skyspiritualplayground.com. My Facebook page, and I have the group that people are welcome and definitely invited to come join, Sky Spiritual Playground, a community space, and see me around in the festivals.
Yeah.
Come dance with me on the dance floor.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being here today and giving me your time. I know you're very busy. And you are a wonderful person. You are an excellent speaker that shows in all of your videos, as well as just how you show up. You just got this beautiful energy about you, loving and caring, and you are just a wonderful person. Thank you so much for being you.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for inviting me and making me feel so welcome, and just really the blessing of being able to speak and share. And I look forward to more interactions and collaborations with you. We're both just beginning.
Yes. Thank you.
Much love, brother.
Much love. That's right. All right.
Thank you for joining us today with Awaken the Mind, hosted by David Juhas.
Relax. Awaken the mind. You need to understand. If you can't, you must. And if you must, you can. Now that I got you, let me put you in a trance. Got you feeling hypnotic. Your mind, let me massage it. Your thoughts are getting quiet. Your stress subsiding. You starting to see images, but it ain't no mirages. Think it's time to calibrate. Take a breath and concentrate. Get into your subconscious. Time to feel the energy, the brain waves. Let's go deep into your memory. Beware of self. Let the worries melt. All you see is you and you don't see no one else. Auditory digital, talking to yourself. It might seem bizarre, a feeling you never felt. This is your time to shine. Awaken the mind, the NLP and hypnosis guide. Yeah.